What federal agents discovered inside shocked even seasoned investigators. A network hiding in plain sight.
At 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night in late October, the lights inside the Fulton County Government Center went dark. Not because of a power failure, because federal agents cut them. What happened next became the largest coordinated federal lockdown of an election administration facility in American history. Over 400 FBI agents, ICE operatives, DIA financial crime units, and DACE investigators descended on Atlanta's election infrastructure hub with warrants so classified that even the Georgia Attorney General wasn't briefed until the breach was already underway. They seized $24 billion in traced financial evidence. They locked down servers containing encrypted communications between a senior state election official and a multinational money laundering cartel operating across 17 countries. And they uncovered something far worse than election fraud. They discovered that democracy itself had become a product for sale. If you think you know how deep corruption can go, you're about to be proven wrong. Because this isn't a story about stolen votes, it's a story about stolen sovereignty. 4:32 a.m., downtown Atlanta, Georgia. The streets are empty, except for the fog rolling off the Chattahoochee River and the distant hum of interstate traffic. Inside a fortified parking garage 3 blocks from the state capitol, 12 black Suburbans sit with engines running and headlights off. FBI hostage rescue teams in full tactical black, ICE Homeland Security investigations, financial warfare specialists, DIA cross-border money flow analysts, DIS counterintelligence strike coordinators. They've been planning this operation for 11 months. Tonight, it goes live. At exactly 4:36 a.m., the convoy splits into 4 assault groups. Group 1 hits the Fulton County Election Records Warehouse in southwest Atlanta, a nondescript industrial building where voter registration data is stored and where millions of absentee ballots were processed during the last 3 election cycles. Group 2 storms a luxury penthouse in Buckhead, owned by a shell company registered in the Cayman Islands under the name Crescent Meridian Holdings ALC. Group 3 breaches a data center in Marietta operated by a private contractor that managed election software updates for 6 southern states. Group 4 moves on the main target, the office of the state election commissioner, a man named Gregory Dalton, who for the past 4 years has been the trusted face of Georgia's electoral integrity. Flashbangs shatter the silence. Doors explode inward. Agents in black helmets flood through hallways with rifles raised and infrared lasers cutting through the darkness. At the election warehouse, they find rows of server racks still running, humming with encrypted activity even though no official election work is scheduled. Technicians in civilian clothes try to shut down terminals. Too late. Federal cyber operators lock the entire network remotely and begin cloning hard drives in real time. At the Buckhead penthouse, agents recover duffel bags packed with $3.2 million in cash, stacks of prepaid international debit cards, and burner phones with recent calls to numbers in Culiacan, Tijuana, Medellin, and Sao Paulo. At the Marietta data center, they seize 47 computers, encrypted USB drives, and a steel lockbox containing handwritten ledgers that detail financial transfers coded under the names of election software update contracts. But it's at the state election office where they find the nightmare. Inside a locked server room behind Gregory Dalton's private suite, agents discover a parallel digital infrastructure, a shadow election network that mirrors the official system but runs on offshore servers controlled by corporate entities with no verifiable ownership. One agent opens a cabinet. Inside are bricks of cocaine. Not a stash, not a personal supply. Test samples, purity markers used by traffickers to verify shipments before moving bulk narcotics across borders. This isn't an election office, it's a cartel operations node disguised as one. And Gregory Dalton isn't just corrupt, he's a financial facilitator embedded inside the American democratic process. 6:14 a.m., FBI Cyber Forensics Division. Atlanta Field Office. Analysts in a cold, fluorescent-lit room cracked the encryption on Dalton's seized servers within 90 minutes. What they see makes the room go silent. A network diagram appears on the main screen. At the center, Operation Blue Ballot. It's not an election security program. It's a multinational money laundering machine using election infrastructure as cover. Shell companies, ghost nonprofits, fake voter outreach foundations, sham consulting firms that claim to provide election technology training, all of them funneling money through Fulton County's budget allocations, federal election grants, and private donations to phony civic engagement organizations. The money flows in from cartel operations, cocaine distribution in Miami, methamphetamine routes through Phoenix, fentanyl pill manufacturing in Sinaloa, human trafficking corridors along the Texas border, and it gets cleaned through election administration contracts, software licensing fees, and data security upgrades. Then it flows back out. Offshore accounts in Panama, corporate holdings in Singapore, real estate purchases in Dubai. And sitting at the center of it all is Gregory Dalton's encrypted authorization key. His digital signature is on every major financial transfer. He approved cartel cash moving through election budgets. He authorized fake contracts worth millions that were never fulfilled. He used voter data processing systems to coordinate encrypted communications with cartel financiers in Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil. One federal analyst leans back in his chair and says it out loud. This isn't corruption. This is command-level collusion. Another adds, he didn't infiltrate the system. He redesigned it. Because here's what they're realizing. Gregory Dalton didn't just launder money. He weaponized democracy infrastructure to make it invisible. Election offices handle billions in federal funding. They process massive data flows. They work with dozens of private contractors. And almost no one audits them deeply. Because questioning election integrity is politically radioactive. That's exactly what made it perfect. If you think that's the worst of it, you're not paying attention. Because the operation is just beginning. 7:50 a.m., Joint Federal Command Center, Dobbins Air Reserve Base, Marietta, Georgia. A wall-sized digital map of the southeastern United States glows with red markers. Over 90 locations pulsing across Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Florida. These are the nodes of Operation Blue Ballot, cartel-controlled logistics hubs, fake election security firms, migrant smuggling transit houses disguised as voter registration campaign offices, money drops hidden inside civic engagement nonprofits. At 8 a.m. sharp, the mission launches. Over 1,000 federal agents, 43 SWAT teams, ICE tactical units, DEA financial enforcement squads, D's counterintelligence operatives, Black Hawk helicopters lift off from staging zones across 3 states. Armored convoys roll out in coordinated waves. In Savannah, agents storm a warehouse labeled as a ballot printing facility. Inside, they find 2 tons of methamphetamine packaged for interstate distribution. In Chattanooga, they breach a data consulting firm that claims to provide election software updates. Inside, they find cartel communication servers and encrypted financial ledgers linking payments to corrupt county clerks in 4 states. In Birmingham, they hit a nonprofit called Voices for Democracy Coalition. Inside, they find $8 million in cash and ledgers showing payments to county election supervisors who approved no-bid contracts for cartel-linked vendors. In Tallahassee, they raid a logistics company that claims to transport election equipment. Inside, they find a hidden compartment system used to move cocaine shipments disguised as secure ballot transport containers. In Charleston, they shut down a migrant services center. Inside, they find passports, fake IDs, and evidence of human trafficking routes funneled through the same financial networks Dalton managed. Every location hits at the same time. Every raid executed with military precision. By 2 p.m., federal agents have seized 4.8 tons of cocaine, 1,200 kilograms of methamphetamine, 2.1 million fentanyl pills, $47 million in cash, 312 encrypted servers, 89 cartel operatives arrested, 14 corrupt election officials detained. One federal commander at the command center watches the operation board light up green as targets are secured. He turns to his team and says, "The underworld took more damage in 6 hours than it did in the last 6 years." But the worst part isn't the drugs, it's not the money, it's what they find when they dig into the corrupted officials. 11:23 p.m., FBI Evidence Processing Center, Atlanta. Agents are going through seized communications, payroll records, bank transfers, and internal emails, and they start seeing the pattern. Gregory Dalton didn't work alone. He had help inside law enforcement. 17 county election supervisors across 5 states received monthly payments disguised as consulting fees. 9 deputy sheriffs in Georgia were on cartel payroll to ensure certain transport routes weren't patrolled during ballot equipment shipments. 4 state legislators received campaign contributions from fake PACs that were actually cartel money laundering fronts. 2 federal border agents in Texas were bribed to allow migrant smuggling convoys to pass through checkpoints under the cover of election observer transport during campaign season. One sitting judge in Fulton County dismissed fraud investigations into Dalton's nonprofit partners 3 separate times. His offshore accounts show deposits totaling $1.9 million. The cartel didn't just buy access. They built a second enforcement system, a parallel government where laws didn't apply as long as you paid the right people. One honest ICE agent who helped crack the case sits in the evidence room staring at a printed email from a fellow agent who tipped off the cartel about an upcoming raid. He doesn't say anything. He just closes the folder and walks out, because how do you rebuild trust when the badge itself became the weapon? But here's where it gets even darker. Federal investigators zoom out. They start mapping the full continental network. Operation Blue Ballot wasn't isolated to Georgia. It connected to logistics routes across 12 states. Trucking contractors hired under election equipment transport licenses moved narcotic shipments from the southern border to distribution hubs in Atlanta, Charlotte, Nashville, and Jacksonville. Fake renewable energy grants approved by state governments were used to fund cartel-operated solar farms that served as drug storage facilities. Shipping manifests at the Port of Savannah were altered by corrupted customs officials to allow cartel cocaine shipments labeled as election technology hardware from overseas suppliers. Way stations along Interstate 75 were temporarily shut down for maintenance, always during the exact hours when cartel convoys passed through carrying methamphetamine and fentanyl hidden inside transport trucks marked with Election Logistics Company decals. Migrant smuggling routes were disguised as voter outreach caravans. Human trafficking safe houses were registered as campaign field offices, and all of it, every single piece, was designed by Gregory Dalton. Because buried in his encrypted files is a master plan document titled Resilience Protocol. It's a blueprint, a long-term strategy to turn election infrastructure into a permanent cartel fortress, not just for one cycle, for decades. The goal wasn't to rig elections, it was to make democracy infrastructure so compromised that the cartel could operate freely no matter who won. One federal prosecutor reads the document and says out loud, "This wasn't infiltration. This was hostile acquisition." So what does this mean? It means power doesn't always need violence. Sometimes it just needs silence and ambition. Because while Americans argued about election security and voter ID laws and mail-in ballots, a cartel was quietly purchasing the system itself, not to control who wins, but to control what winning even means. The cost isn't theoretical, it's measured in lives. Fentanyl deaths in Atlanta spiked by 340% over the last 4 years. Methamphetamine overdoses in rural Georgia increased by 270%. Human trafficking cases in the Southeast more than doubled. Families destroyed. neighborhoods hollowed out, trust in democracy shattered. And it all happened while a man in a suit smiled at press conferences and promised election integrity. But the warning is real, because corruption doesn't announce itself. It doesn't wear a mask. It wears a badge, a title, and a press release. If you're still watching this, tap like so more people see what's possible when power goes unchecked. Comment expose if you want stories like this dragged into the light where they belong. Share this so the algorithm can't bury it, because the scariest part of this story isn't what happened. It's how easily it could. Power doesn't need permission. It just needs you to look away. Don't